Are we all settled in, folks? Would you like to come closer and hear what I have to say?
Rewind.
I wasn't sure what type of expectation I had going into watching The Black Phone this morning at my local Cineworld. By the way, I had a really weird experience during this screening because they were running the adverts, and on the left-hand side of the cinema screen, the sound suddenly went offline. I went to a member of staff and told them about it. All she did was have a radio out and, I'll just talk to somebody and let them know what's going on. Couldn't care less that I'm a paying customer, report this technical difficulty. Did they go out to resolve it? No. That's why Cineworld sucks, and that's why I don't give them any membership money per month. But I made a complaint about it, so we'll see what happens. It did ruin my experience of this film. I think The Black Phone is a terrific movie. I may also add, it could be my favorite film of 2022 and my second favorite Blumhouse movie as well. My first being Upgrade, which is just an awesome film. I'm gonna have to talk about that sometime on my channel because I've been here long enough that I should actually go back and revisit classics like Upgrade. But today we are talking about The Black Phone. Ethan Hawke, seasoned actor. We've seen him in things like Daybreakers. I can't recall if he's actually played a baddie. I love Gattaca as well, where he met his future then wife, Uma Thurman. But in this film, where he plays the serial killer slash abductor, the Grabber, and he's a really unnerving presence on the screen. I think that might be the detriment of the movie though, because the only sticking point I have about it is that in the marketing, in the trailer, we see that it's Ethan Hawke. They clearly say it's him in the movie. If they didn't actually name him as the actor behind the mask, you could have probably played around with that, just maybe shock the audiences when you go in to watch the film and then you see Ethan Hawke is the killer. That would have been, I think, a nice little twist. It wouldn't have been a revelatory twist, but I think it would have lent a hand in maybe generating more buzz for this film. But really, the whole, the essence of this film is to the main lead actors, Mason Thames and Madeline McGraw. She's an ex-Disney child actress, and she is fantastic in this film. From what I've actually read, she's generating a lot of buzz. But another actor I want to shout out here is Miguel Caceres Mora, who plays Robin Areno, one of the cool as fuck characters I've seen for a long time. One of these characters that you think, why wasn't he on Stranger Things? He's the Mexican version of Steve Harrington, if you want to give it some savvy, and he's just a badass. When you see the film, you'll know what I'm talking about, and it's great. One thing I'll say about this movie, if you didn't know, Scott Derrickson was behind this, the same guy who gave us Doctor Strange in 2016 and then wasn't allowed to come out for the sequel because apparently his vision wasn't in line with Marvel's MCU woke agenda going forward. So Scott Derrickson, you got off light, mate, and I'm glad you're back to making horror films because you absolutely excel in the genre, and I hope Blumhouse use his services a lot more because, wow, this film to me felt like it was a love letter to John Carpenter, to his movie Halloween, set in 1978 or made in that year. This film is set in 1978. It's just amazing what they do with the limited budget they had with this because it looks like it's from that era, like from the fashion to what they drink, what they eat, the whole sterile furniture. I loved all of that, man. It was just, it just brings back the feels to me, man. That's what I really like. Now, the character of Gwen is played by McGraw. Now, there are things that she does, it could make your eyeballs roll, but I would say temper your expectations. There's a reason why things happen. So the reason why I love her, when she's interviewed by detectives earlier on, she calls them a pair of fart knockers, which I absolutely love. Obviously, we've heard the fart knockers joke being repeated in Beavis and Butthead, and she's a bit of a tomboy, but at the same time, she likes to get into a physical scrap with school bullies, which I really like, which is a contrast to her brother, who's afraid of getting into physical confrontation. Now, at this stage, I was thinking, okay, let's just give this movie a chance, see where it goes with this angle of the storyline, with this particular character. Believe me, we do get a massive payoff where Mason Thames's Finney is concerned. So don't worry about it, folks. They're not subverting your expectations in the way that we expect everything to be in 2022 and beyond. You can temper your expectations, you're fine. Being a Blumhouse horror film, yeah, there were a couple of jump scares. The first one did actually catch me off guard. I thought, did I really get scared by that moment? But it was, it's what I expect. And Scott Derrickson, again, Marvel's loss is Blumhouse's gain, so keep using this guy. He is terrific as a director. He understands how to use the actors. So I've talked about Madeline McGraw, ex-Disney child actress, and she's just getting a lot of buzz from her performance here. I think she's terrific. Her sibling rivalry, adoration for her brother, I think these two actors have got some great chemistry on screen. I really appreciate it. I bought into their relationship as well as brother and sister. Jeremy Davies, who plays their abusive father, I thought he was terrific as well. You've seen him in Justified and many other TV shows. He played Faraday in Lost as well. So that if you want to know who he is, that's the actor I'm talking about. He's got a very distinctive look about him. But I will say, the scene of him beating up one of his kids with a belt, it harkens back to my childhood when I would occasionally get beaten by my dad as well, but it's the 70s, it's the 80s. I think parents were expected to do that, and look, I turned out okay. I'm not a murderer. I don't commit any heinous crimes. I'm on the straight and narrow. I think if more parents were allowed to do that today and not be accused of human rights violations, I can honestly believe we would have less teenage crime that is happening in the UK and in America. I honestly believe that, actually, especially in the UK where knife crime is concerned. But going back to this movie again, and I'm glad, and I applaud them for doing that, by the way. I'm glad they show that depiction of the 70s. It's not all about flared bell-bottom jeans, funky hair, funky tops. There was a bit more of a darker side to it. So I would say the Black Phone, it's got, like, I would say the third half or the third act of this movie, you get a payoff. You can see what the payoff is because they do kind of telegraph it a little bit before, but when it gets to that final payoff, it is so satisfying. There's a nice twist in the story which I did not expect to see, and the way that comes off, you're a little bit shortchanged because I can't go into what the twist is, but when you watch the film, I wish there was a little bit more of that happening. Also, with the serial killer of the Grabber as so menacingly portrayed by Hawke, he has a tendency for or a certain fetish or penchant for a certain victim that he kidnaps. And I'm kind of wondering now that when he kidnaps a certain character in this film, and it's Finney, by the way, you've seen it in the trailer, so it's no secret he gets kidnapped. But I'm wondering if he was there to test him, or there was another sinister purpose to the reason why he kept him locked up in his house downstairs. By the way, there are things that happen in this film, and you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why doesn't the serial killer hear what such and such person is doing downstairs? It's because he's actually soundproofed the whole house. So it's kind of funny that, to his own detriment, that he's this willing victim that he has, well, an unwilling victim that he has locked downstairs in the cellar, is able to carry out certain things and turn those against him in the third act of the movie. I thought that was really, really interesting. And it's great to see that a serial killer like him, while he's got the swagger, he's got the confidence, can actually slip up big time, which I thought was hilarious. I'm going to say right now, The Black Phone is probably my #1 film of this year. Following that would be Top Gun Maverick, then The Northman, then Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then Beavis and Butthead do the universe. Because that was a terrific laugh. I've talked about 5 films this year that have really made an impression on me. And when you talk about the rest of the films that have come out already, are due to come out, yeah, I'm talking about you, Thor, Woke and Thunder. Oh, there's not many other films to look forward to. And we've got what, like 6 months or less before this year ends? It's so bizarre, isn't it? But I think, you know, when I've seen things like Beavis and Butthead and I've watched this movie, it feels like the tide is slightly turning, folks. It seems there are certain sections of Hollywood don't want to bow down to agenda, to ideology, to the overrepresentation. And by the way, I need to talk about that very quickly. So before the main feature ran at my cinema, they dropped a trailer for a film called Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. It's about a UFO that lands in the desert somewhere where a few people live. And during that trailer, we have the BLM brother and sister. And by that, you know what I'm talking about. If you've seen this trailer, there's a cringe-worthy moment where it's like the sister's looking at the brother, is like, yo, come on, bruv. It's so annoying. It's not needed. We know the BLM messaging behind that. Don't need it. Hollywood overrepresentation, overcompensating for heinous crimes that they felt they've committed before, which I find absolutely absurd and ridiculous. And with the characters of Finney and Gwen in The Black Phone, they're just a believable brother and sister on screen. You care for them, you laugh at them, you actually do feel protective of them for the things they have to go through with their abusive father at home. By the way, the abusive father, there's a bit in the movie where he actually asks for his kids' forgiveness. You know, he's a single father looking after his kids. You actually find out why he's being abusive. So actually, he is a good guy. Oh, shock horror. A Caucasian dude is a good guy and is a father to his kids. Wow, holy hell, man. When did that happen? Why has that happened? I'm glad we got it in the film. It's great. You know, not all men on screen have to be strong and stoic and silent. They can have vulnerabilities and still be a likable character on screen. So I've got to give the credit to the screenwriters and for Blumhouse for having characters like that. And the police in this film as well. You know, they're good guys. Are they competent? Not always, but it's interesting how they used in his film. Going back to the woke remake of Candyman last year and how they used it as a vehicle for BLM, you don't see any of that nonsense in this film. This film is out to be a 70s homage to horror films like Halloween of that time, and they did it with aplomb, and they gave us the best film possible. And I've got to say, The Black Phone, Ethan Hawke, Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, fantastic movie. Watch it. And I've got to say, the kid actors do steal the show from the very start to the very, very end. It's just an emotional, heartfelt trip. I will be talking about this maybe again on a live stream in Halloween at some point. It's definitely going to be on my agenda for my Halloween films to watch this year. So The Black Phone, go and see it while you can, folks. It might be having a sort of limited release around the country, but it's absolutely worth it. More people need to talk about this film. And that image of Ethan with the black hat and that scary mask. Oh boy, they could have really gone to town with that, but they didn't, and it doesn't matter because Scott Derrickson did a fantastic job with this movie. So if I were you folks, if you enjoyed this video today, make sure you hit the like button below. Make sure you slap that subscribe button like it was Ethan Hawke's big gritty teeth. And on that one, if you were me and if I were you, I would check out the next video.
Kung Fu Hot Dog, you rock.
This is Duke Nukem. If you're looking for a douchebag to save the day, then try Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog. All right, now where are the babes?